with Jena Abernathy. She is a professional speaker and author of the book, The Inequality Equalizer. So, Jena, welcome to the program today.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So, you're also a contributor to a number of media outlets. We've seen you on Daytime, CNN. Tell me just a little bit about your background.
Sure. Well, actually, I was in the corporate world for many years and had the privilege of running human resources for a lot of different organizations. And I then moved into executive search, which I still do today. And I am focused on CEO searches as well as running our board of directors practice for the firm Whitkeefer. In addition, I am the author of The Inequality Equalizer. And I also have the opportunity to mentor and to give speeches across the country for those that are looking to try to move into the C-suite.
Yeah, and you speak on how to get ahead in the workplace, and so in this book also, The Inequality Equalizer. Now it talks about how to get ahead in the workplace, how to make your resume shine, a number of different things. It's a very large book with a lot of contents for it. And you said you wrote this book with the intent of the working woman professional in mind, but you said this book is a fit for people of both genders, correct?
Absolutely. It's been fascinating because I actually have received pictures from individuals that have purchased the book, and they've sent me pictures of their partner or spouse that happens to be a male professional saying, my partner loved this particular book. And I thought, gosh, it was really targeted toward women, but we found this following around male professionals as well, because advice really is not gender specific. It is to help others, and the Inequality Equalizer is to really just try to level the playing field. So what are the items that we don't think about that can derail our career so easily? And so I just wanted to give very simple, solid advice that would help people that really want to make it to that top level in an organization.
Now, your tagline is want it, claim it, own it, and maximize your career success. And you open up the first chapter with balancing your junkyard dog and your pedigree. What is your junkyard dog?
Okay.
He's a wrestler from the 80s, too.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we all have a junkyard dog in us somewhere, but I talk about the fact that I come from a very blue-collar background. It is interesting because I think that when you get into certain corporate settings or the higher up you go in the work world, the more that you just don't realize that you really have to know the nuances of social graces, political, mining, and making sure that you really and truly understand about wine, how to sit through certain dinners, things of that nature. Now, when you've grown up on TV dinners or
in West Virginia, like myself.
Well, and I am a junkyard dog, so my family was not at all.
It was a learning curve for me too. No, I grew up with a bunch of redneck country boys and stuff. I was not made for the corporate world coming out of West Virginia.
No, my parents drove around with the Skull Bandit sticker on the back of the car because they were really into NASCAR. I didn't know anything different. I get into the professional setting and realized, yes, I was a hard worker, but it's more than just working hard. You've got to find what I call your inner pedigree. So I talk about that as a junkyard dog. So many of us that graduate from state-supported colleges, fund our own education. We don't have the ironclad networking circles that many of the pedigrees have. And it's not that one is better than the other. It's that at some point you've got to figure out how to find that. You've got to become more polished. You've got to figure out how to look inward and how to balance the two. And so that's just a whole chapter that I talk about.
No, I like the reference there. You go from the junkyard dog to the pedigree, and we all go through it, at least the majority of it. I know I went through a long learning curve because it was a culture shock for me to come from West Virginia to Florida, and then I worked in industry, and then to go back to school in my mid-20s and rebrand myself, get into real estate, learn professionalism. And yeah, it was. I mean, I grew up working in a lumber yard with my father and a bunch of old country boys and rednecks and stuff, and it was. I used to talk more like this right here. I didn't used to talk
exactly.
So professional. I had to use this accent I got right here. So
I wonder what my excuse would be.
I don't know. What is your excuse? You're still on that path, though, right?
I think I missed the curve altogether, to be honest. I don't even know where the curve is.
Now, you move on to the importance of branding yourself after, that chapter, and that's, a key to anything. So branding yourself, protecting your reputation. What are some keys to people to know when they start to begin to build a brand?
That the internet is forever. So many young professionals start out and they've got the great Facebook posts of, the wonderful wedding that they attended last weekend and some really funny shots of them doing the worm or whatever. And you think
that
about
got to be the tamest way ever put. I was thinking like their news feed looks like Girls Gone Wild or something.
Yeah, I was trying to be politically correct, and I realize I don't have to be in this audience, right?
But no, you're fine.
It's you'd be surprised everything that's out there, and I think that what happens is when we're young, we don't think of the ramifications of what happens down the road, and social media today is certainly so prevalent, so the here and now, and yet any potential employer can pull up and do research on social media, what's out there, look at images, look at photos, look at taglines, look at your Twitter. I mean, all of that. And so you really have to think about what happens today affects tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so if your goal is to build a long-term career and you know that you want to be in the workplace and in a corporate setting, you've got to really be mindful of what is your brand. So I tell people, what's your 12-second speech? Tell me who you are in 12 seconds or less. Tell me what it is that you bring to an organization. Tell me who you are and what you want to be and where you're going to go. And all of that is part of that branding. It's your image. It's how you project. It's how you communicate.
Yeah.
And it's how you follow up.
Yeah, the children and the young people coming through today's technology age, they definitely need to be counseled on proper social media use because, they don't know the importance of their online presence and their online profile as they get older and older, and come to the corporate world. I'm very glad myself personally that stuff wasn't around when I was in college. I'd had all my frat stuff on there, fraternity parties and stuff, and I would be looked at it probably a completely different way. So I'm fortunate in that. But yeah, it definitely is a talking point for our youth to say, hey, this stuff is not going anywhere. You need to be careful what you put up there.
Absolutely. And somebody right now is probably saying, oh, I've got those photos. They're going to be calling you later today saying, what's it really worth to you?
They're in a scrapbook in the fraternity archive.
It happens.
Exactly
I see a bunch of old friends, older friends and their buddies from high school, and they're all sober now, and they're counselors in drug rehab centers.
Right.
And then somebody from their high school runs into them on Facebook and posts a picture of them totally getting trashed.
Exactly.
Every now and then, one of the fraternity brothers finds some old picture and scans it in because digital wasn't too popular yet, and so but they'll throw something up from the 90s and
I
stuff.
can see Jamie in his toga warrior.
Oh, I did some crazy things back
screaming,
in the day.
"This is Sparta" or something.
Yeah, if you ever seen Animal House, we had some crazy parties like that back in the day. So, your book, what was your inspiration, and when did you release the book, The Inequality Equalizer?
So it just came out a few weeks ago. It is on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all the usual outlets. And the inspiration was really just through my years of being in the executive world and being in the C-suite, and unfortunately watching people derail in their careers and thinking, gosh, if I could just spend more time with them, or if I could really just sit down and give them that constructive feedback, which I did on many occasions. And I thought, it's just, you see people and you see that they have the talent, but they just don't have the knowledge of how to really make it in the corporate world. And so I have just found that, being a corporate executive, being a person that has helped people climb the ladder, being an individual that works with clients that say, this is what I'm looking for in the executive suite. And now, of course, being, running a board practice where I know what it takes to find individuals that can help lead an organization for the sustainable future, it all made sense.
And you're at the level now where you're hiring CEOs, and
yes.
so I couldn't even imagine what goes into sourcing and interviewing people at that level. I mean, how do you go about looking for CEOs, and what type of interview process do you put somebody through at that level, and what would somebody at that level need to be aware of when they're coming to you to interview for like a CEO position?
Yeah, it's rigorous. I mean, when you're looking at that particular role, it's all about leadership. It's all about, looking at their past and their ability to develop followership, their ability to get results, their ability to be able to turn an organization around if that's what the client's looking for, or their ability to build for the future. So we all have different skills, and it's just a matter of really finding the right fit. And so it starts with doing your homework on the organization that's looking, spending a ton of time with those individuals. And then I think the number one is cultural fit. Who's going to fit that culture? Because so often you can find the skills, you can find the competencies, but if you don't find the right person that will fit with that board or fit with those employees and can guide them in the right direction, then it's not going to work.
What's the process in terms of from you find that candidate to getting them into a position? I mean, how many different interviews? How long to get a CEO seated in a position? Is it a pretty 6-month process?
It is. It
takes
is.
a while.
It takes about anywhere from 4 to 6 months. Yeah, it's a lot of interviewing. Mm-hmm. So they have to really be committed to the process. And we, actually go through assessments with potential candidates. So we use different instruments for that. We are just very diligent in reference checking. So we check not only those that are the obvious, but then we also are very connected, in the industry to be able to take it further and look at that 3 to 5 degrees of separation. Who do they know? Who have they worked with? What is their reputation? I mean, that's why, again, and of course we do the huge social media check, we do the complete background check. All of that is so important when you're selecting the right person.
Good information. Currently talking to Jena Abernathy, author and speaker, and she's the author of the book, The Inequality Equalizer. Want it, claim it, own it, and maximize your career success. Now available over on Amazon. And you can learn more about Jena over at jenaabernathy.com. Coming back from the break, we're going to talk about 5 easy ways to adjust and make your resume shine for your next position out there. You're listening to That Business Show. Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.
Have you ever tried to buy a home for your family only to find out that